Hey guys, what's going on? So I'm back here with my round 2 of the LBA. This is against Nasser or the Jubail Relicanths. So my team is the same and Halucha is my team MVP, and Nasser's draft in no particular order was Murkrows, Florges, Milotic, Mega Altaria, Jolteon, Hitmontop, Tornadus Incarnate, Spiritomb, and Ludicolo. And so far his team MVP is Typhlosion, which he only got 1 kill with it, as his last game he got 5-0'd by Eric, or the Bristol Bidoof, so I kind of thought that and I've heard from prior cases that he kind of starts off seasons cold, so I was just kind of keeping that in mind, but in no way was I just going to try and use that to my advantage or go easy on him, because I'm going to be bringing my all, as I feel pretty confident with the group I amassed, and it just turned out to be a pretty good game for me, so let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so the team I decided to bring to this game was, I felt like the Scarf Tyranitar still gave me a good matchup against his team, as I know I brought against Zyod, but I wasn't worried about repetition. Bringing a Mega Gardevoir, a physically defensive Amoonguss, an all-around bulky Wisp-passing Chansey, Choice Banded Scizor, and just Nasty Plot Thundurus. And his team is kind of what I expected it to see from him. Metagross, Milotic, Jolteon, Hitmontop, Mega Altaria, and that Typhlosion. And honestly, his only roadblock really for me is that Metagross. If I can cripple it or just deal with it altogether, then I'm in a really, really good spot, as I really didn't want to run max speed on my Thundurus so that I could invest in bulk, but since he did have a Tornadus kind of just sitting in the back of his draft, I didn't want to risk him to be able to outspeed me if I wanted to go for a nasty plot sweep. So I know that Gardevoir can do a ton of work against his team once Metagross is gone, and I know Thundurus can do a ton of work to his team. The main thing I was worried about was a lot of strong priority coming from Hitmontop, and I also thought he might bring Spiritomb, but he didn't. So he's going to lead off with his Typhlosion, as I lead off with my Scarf Tyranitar, as last game I saw that he had a Will-O-Wisping Typhlosion, but I didn't want to risk him being Choice Scarfed with Focus Blast, so I decided to play it safe turn 1 and just go into my Fat Nurse, because it can just eat up any hit from this Typhlosion, as he does show the Will-O-Wisp, so that means that my Scarf Tyranitar should be able to beat it, and that it's not really a problem for me, because I do have Heal Bell on this thing, and I'm just not very scared of Typhlosion as long as I have Chansey. So it's going to go ahead and switch directly into Milotic here, as I just went for the Seismic Toss so I could whittle something down, as I didn't need to do anything, and I do have the Natural Cure, so I don't mind this burn at all, and I can Wish up when I need to, because this Milotic can't do shit to me, and so I'm going to be taking all this damage from Sand and Burn, as I did decide to bring just a normal Sandstream T-Tar, since he had nothing to take advantage of Sand, as he decides to go into his Metagross, as I also pulled a switch here and went into my Amoonguss. Now, I'm max defense with Rocky Helmet, so if he is Choice Banded, I have a chance of living a Zen Headbutt, but that would be with very little health, and I'd probably die to Sandstorm, so I could not take that risk, and there was no reason to, as he decides to just go into Hitmontop, as I can totally beat this Hitmontop with my Amoonguss, even if it has Aerial Ace. So I'm going to go into Dante the Scizor, as I'm Choice Banded, and I'm going to be able to fire off a U-turn, as I didn't expect him to stay in here. And I'm going to be able to get a ton of damage off on this Typhlosion. More importantly, I just get the Switch Initiative, as now I can bring in something to scare this thing away, as I'm just going to go into Judge here, which can really wreck his team, as there's only a couple things I was worried about, and one being this Jolteon. I didn't go for Thunderbolt right away because I knew this thing was laying around with Volt Absorb, so I'm just going to go for the Psychic, as I don't want to show that I have Sludge Wave just yet, so that I can maybe trick his Altaria into staying in on me, as I'm going to go into my Gardevoir here so that I can trace his Volt Absorb, because I did predict the Volt Switch here, as he does go for that, and I will be resistant to that, and I decided to not go Mega here just in case he wanted to predict me going Mega, as he goes into Metagross, and this was a huge play because I predicted his switch into this Metagross, and I'm able to burn it, which is so huge in this game, because Metagross was so scary to my team, and as long as it's burnt, it cannot really do shit to me, as now I can just go into Dante here, as a burned Metagross cannot touch Mega Scizor at all, unless he had like HP Fire, which he hasn't shown. So he's going to be taking that burn damage here, and I'm in a really awesome spot now that I got that prediction off. I was super happy as now he's going to go into his Altaria here, and just because he brought it in, as I did go for the knockoff, tells me that he's probably going to be running a special set, so I did predict the Fire Blast, and I'm going to go into Tyranitar Didara, with which the Sand Up can easily take a Fire Blast if he chooses to go for it, and I'm pretty sure I can live a Hyper Voice if I had to, but it's still going to hurt a lot. So he does go for the Fire Blast, and he misses, but it would not have done very much damage at all. So now I catch him off guard with the Scarf Tyranitar, and now I'm able to knock out his Altaria with that Stone Edge. So I'm really stoked at this point, because his Metagross is burnt, and his only possible Cleric, that Altaria, is gone. I mean, his Jolteon could potentially have Heal Bell, but no. So he's going to go for the Earthquake here, as he's burned. He can't do shit to Fat Nurse, as I'm just going to be able to throw up a Wish here, as I'm also able to wear this thing down turn for turn. So, like I said, I'm in an awesome position here, as the only thing I had to worry about was Zen Headbutt Flinch. Oh, several of them, actually. But he doesn't get that, and now I'm just free to go for the Protect, and I honestly don't care if he switches out here, because I have an answer for everything on his team, as he decides to switch out and go into his Milotic, but that does not worry me at all, because he can't do shit to me, and all I can do is Toxic or Scald, and I have Natural Cure, and that attack won't be doing anything at all. So I get a ton of my health back with the Wish, as Fat Nurse is just here to provide support to everything else on my team, as, yeah, it's Stolly, but it came around to me in the draft, so I definitely wanted to take it. As I'm going to throw up another Wish so that I can switch into my Gardevoir and recover any damage back from a Scald, as I just want my Gardevoir at good health, because it really destroys lives every single time it comes in, as his only real switch in is that Metagross, and it's taking a ton of damage every time I throw out a Hyper Voice, because he also takes the burn damage. So I'm going to go into Savage here, as he goes for the Scald, as I trace a Marvel Scale, which doesn't matter, and that he doesn't burn me, so now I just want to go Mega here so I can fire off an extremely powerful Hyper Voice, because Mega Gardevoir is such a hard hitter, especially when you don't have Poison types or Steel types, but I mean, he does have it, but it's burnt, like I said, so I'm going to go for the Hyper Voice, and this does an absurd amount of damage, considering it's a Milotic, so that definitely means he is a physically defensive variant, so I can just annihilate him with Hyper Voice. And that also means that Thunderbolt from Thundurus should be able to OHKO this thing, which is really, really good to know, as he's going to call this thing back, as he just basically has to switch into Metagross, letting it take more damage, and I have an easy switch out of here directly afterwards, as Hyper Voice does a pretty solid chunk, and he's also going to take that burn. And now I could have stayed in and taken a Bullet Punch. I could have lived it pretty well, but I wanted my Gardevoir to be at good health where it could take a Bullet Punch from Technician Hitmontop. So I'm just going to go into Alan here, the Amoonguss, as I have Rocky Helmet, so he's going to knock himself out with that Bullet Punch. So that thing's gone, and Alan is just a savage. He picks up kills without laying a finger on the opponent. So he's going to go into Typhlosion here and pull the double directly out into Hitmontop, which was a really, really good play on his part, as now he's at a huge disadvantage, so he has to make all the plays, but it's not really, I'm not really worried at this point, as he did predict my switch into Tyranitar, but I can just switch directly back out into Alan, and he can't touch me at all. So he's going to go for the Mach Punch, and he's basically going to be hurting himself more than he is hurting me with that Rocky Helmet, and it was very well aware that he could go for the Aerial Ace, but at max this is going to do like 50%, as that does a pretty good amount of damage, not gonna lie, as he's gonna take some more Rocky Helmet, and I just went for the Sludge Bomb so I could get more damage, and unfortunately for him, I do get the Poison, so I've been very lucky this game. I haven't missed anything. Like, I would have been really upset if I missed the Will-O-Wisp on his Metagross. It would have been really hard to beat him had I not burned that thing, so now he's going to go into his Typhlosion as I pull the switch out, as I didn't want to take another Aerial Ace and risk getting critted, so I'm just going to go into Judge, as at this point I didn't see anything on his moveset that could hit me, Close Combat, Mach Punch, and Aerial Ace, so I'm going to go for Sludge Wave here, just in case he wanted to go into Jolteon to try and Volt Absorb, as I'm able to knock that thing out, as Judge is just sitting pretty here, as he decides to go Milotic here, and this is a risky move because he's betting that I'll predict him to go into Jolteon, as I do, and he's able to go for the Recover, and unfortunately again for him, I do get the Sludge Wave Poison, but he makes a really, really ballsy play, and he's able to get the Recover off with his Milotic, but it's really not going to matter because the Thundurus can still destroy this Milotic, and my Gardevoir can also destroy it. So I'm just going to switch out here just in case I don't want to play any head games, because I don't like head games, as I can just go into Gardevoir, as he is going to pull the switch into his Jolteon here, and I know I should be able to take one hit unless he's like Specs or something, and he's going to go for the Thunderbolt here, and that's not going to knock me out. Does a ton though, as he does show the Life Orb, and I'm able to knock him out with a Hyper Voice. So now at this point, I just win with Thundurus. If I get it in for free, I just click T-Bolt twice and the game is over. So, but because this is a point-based league, I do want to save Savage just in case, just for that point, and also in case I needed it to knock out his Milotic if my Thunder somehow went down. So he predicts my Thundurus switch and goes for the Stone Edge, and he crits my Scizor, which is not good, as now he could probably knock me out with a Mach Punch. So I don't want to risk that, as I'm getting lag. I don't know if you guys see it, but now I can just go into Alan here, and I can let him knock himself out with the Close Combat, as he will die to the Rocky Helmet. So now he is down to his last Pokemon, the Milotic, as I have all 6 of my team members left. And at this point, he can't win. He really can't, because if he predicts my switch here into Thundurus and goes for Ice Beam and knocks me out, I just have the free switch into Gardevoir, and I knock him out with the Hyper Voice. So he goes for the Recover here, as he's going to get all his health back, but since this thing's physically defensive, Life Orb Thundurus should really OHKO it with Thunderbolt. So he's going to take that poison damage, which I don't think mattered at all, as I'm going to go for the Thunderbolt, knock him out, and that's going to be the game. So I get the 6-0 on Nas, which I'm really surprised, because Nazari is a really good player. He was the third, he got the number 3 draft, and it was overall just, I was kind of surprised of how easy it was. If I made the good plays, but it just kind of wasn't super hard, as once I got that burn on Metagross, I just kind of had the game. And I also getting that Stone Edge on his Altaria before it could do any damage was also really nice. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed that, as I'm now 2-0 in the LBA, I think +9 differential, which is really, really good, as I'll be keeping you updated on more of this stuff and just putting up other battles when I can. So make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you want, and yeah, thanks for watching everybody, have a good day, and Murk out.